First full week back at work. Decent week, over target, and we're going to have a chat about bidding on the Courier Exchange as well. Morning everybody, it's David here, Anvileers Logistics, and we are starting a week in the life of an unhealthy courier. We've had a lovely week off. Been away to Devon and Cornwall, nice and relaxing, lovely hotel, based in Paynton, right on the beach, and we went all over Devon and Cornwall, visiting different places, lots of things, steam train trips, boat trips, visiting Cornish towns, ate very well. And my major concern was, I'm going away, I'm going to eat quite well. I don't want to put any more weight on. And I was quite pleased with myself, did plenty of walking. And when we come back, I weighed myself, and I was no heavier than when I left. So, although I didn't lose any weight, I didn't put any more weight on from the weight I originally lost. And of course, now I'm back at work, and we're back to eating sensibly and looking to drop in the weight a bit more. Slowly but surely, because we're not dieting, we're just basically changing the lifestyle. And hopefully it will just continue in the right direction. For example, today, I've got lots of fruit with me today. If I get hungry, I'll be eating fruit rather than pasties, pies, and all the usual things that I would shove down my neck. So we're back on work today. Today, I want to be back home because, as those of you who follow the channel know, I am in a band and we like to rehearse on a Monday evening. So I'm doing a job for my regular customers. I picked it up for the Blackburn area and I am going to Gloucester. I will look to see if I can pick anything coming back, but it's not urgent. I get well paid for this. The journey back is covered, and it's more important that I get back in time than earn more money today. So that's what we're doing today. In other matters, I've had a message from a subscriber who's asked, can I talk about bidding for work, principally on the CX. Now this particular chap, he's new to the game, and he's got himself a curtain side, a Luton van, which I don't have because I drive a long wheelbase van. So I did actually ask the question from a friend to ask about bidding, but I'll talk about bidding in general. Now, obviously, this is from my perspective. I do not use the Courier Exchange an awful lot nowadays. So generally, I'll be looking for work to get back with, which I will do a little bit cheaper because all I'm looking for is a backload, something to pay for the juice for the day and maybe show a little bit more profit on the day. But when it comes to bidding for work, if I'm just using the CX only to find work, then obviously you can't be bidding and backload money for that. You've got to get money enough to make a profit on the day. You've still got to earn a living. So I asked a question specifically about Lootings of someone who uses a Luton, and they told me that they bid between 130 to 180 a mile. They don't always get the work when they bid for it, and they have a minimum charge of £60. So that is what they're looking to get when they are using a Luton van. Now they use a Luton rigid side van, and he reckons that you can get slightly more if you have a curtain side Luton van. So I hope that answers the question specifically about Lutons. I mean, obviously you need a decent rate for a Luton van because your miles per gallon are going to be less generous. You're probably getting mid-20s, aren't you? Whereas I always get a bit bright now. I'm getting mid-30s out of my van. Now, in terms of me as a long wheelbase van driver, I think and hope to bid at £1.30 a mile. Now, I will be absolutely honest with you. I could put 20 bids in and not get a job. But then sometimes I put a bid in and I get a job straight away. So it can all depend on the different factors when you're bidding for work. I know a lot of people who work a long wheelbase van for £1 a mile. So they'll probably get quite regular work. But to me, that only makes economic sense if you're going to be guaranteed to get a backload. So you've got to look at different factors when you're bidding. You've got to look at where you're going to. So I live in the Greater Manchester area. So if I was to take a job that's near my house that I don't need to travel quite as far for to pick it up, I might consider bidding lower because I've not got to factor in a 20-mile journey to go and pick the job up. So I'd consider bidding a little bit cheaper per mile for that. And where am I going to? If I'm going to an area where there's not likely to be a lot of work, let's say, for example, Lincolnshire, it's not a particularly busy area, so the chances of picking up another load from the area are slim, especially a load going to an area where you want to get to, i.e. back home. So I wouldn't bid £1.10 a mile for that. I would want a minimum of £1.30 a mile because I've got to factor in the fact that I'm not going to get any work in that area, or highly unlikely, and I'm going to have to travel a bit to pick something else up. I might have to move up to South Yorkshire or something to try and pick up some work. So you've got to factor those things in when you're bidding. Now, of course, people selling the jobs, that is the shipping companies, the transport companies or whatever, it's in their interest to sell that job as cheaply as possible, therefore making them a profit. I understand that they're in the business to make money, but sometimes they seem to hold out for what is too cheap a bid. But you're competing against other drivers. So when you see a job that you think, oh, I'd like to do that job, you might have another 20 drivers putting bids in. And some of those drivers, that might be their backload. So you're probably not going to get it anyway. But if you're looking at using the CX as a principal source of income, whilst you build up your own contacts and develop your own work, it's very difficult. Really difficult. And it's difficult to know how to price yourself, because there's a difference between the price I want and the price I could realistically get. Like I say, it's almost like bingo or like some kind of lottery. The more tickets you buy, the more bids you put in, the more chance you're going to get one of them successful. Now, when it comes from the shippers who are looking at giving the work out, they're going to look at things like, how close is that driver to my job? If I'm an hour away, I'm less likely to get the job than someone who perhaps is only 2 or 3 miles away. So, because they want it, if it's a same day job, they want it picking up, as quickly as possible. So they'll look at that. They'll look at feedback, because they are sending the driver in to service their customer. So that driver is representing them. And if that driver's feedback is poor, that they've got a history, for example, of being late, not delivering on time, going off course, then they're going to have some negatives against the name, and they're less likely to use that than someone, for example, like me, who has 100% positive feedback. So I've not got one single negative recorded against me. So that becomes a factor too when you're bidding. So if you're a new driver, it's difficult to command a decent rate because you've not got the feedback. So you tend to have to bid a little bit cheaper than possibly you'd like to have some work under your belt to get some feedback against your name. So it can all vary. There is no exact science to any of this. it can be a really, really busy day. So there's plenty of work out there. And so therefore, the customers or the shippers, we'll call them shippers just to make it easier for me, will be forced to accept bids that are probably higher than they want to pay simply to clear the work. An example of this might be a Friday before a bank holiday is generally a very busy day. Because it's a bank holiday Monday following, a lot of companies want to get everything boxed and out of the way. So therefore, there's lots of work appears on the system. And in some cases, not enough drivers. It's quite rare. So in those days, you can generally bid, and as long as your bid's not too unreasonable, you'll get the work, because they'll be grateful to get that work cleared. But on the other hand, typically a Tuesday or something like that, everything from Monday's been boxed and put out of the way. Tuesday, I find, tends to be a quiet day. So there could be 200 drivers within 30 miles of where you are and 4 or 5 jobs available. Well, of course, they can pick and choose. So they're going to look at getting the best deal that they can. So it's hard. It really is a difficult situation bidding. Now, I would say that I am not in the best position to give good advice on bidding on the Courier Exchange, because I'm lucky. I have a regular customer who gives me quite a lot of work and generally keeps me busy. So I tend to use the Courier Exchange on days when they're not busy, or to try and get a backload home, of which I'm going to bid for that cheaper anyway, because it's a backload and I'm not looking to make a lot of money on that. I'm just looking to cover expenses. Now, there are people who work the Courier Exchange as their main source of income. People like, well, I was going to say the Saintsman, but he's got a regular customer now. But Tom, TG Logistics, I know he only really works the Courier Exchange. So he's got his finger on the pulse a bit more than I would have. And I'll always campaign and say you should get the most you can. But that's easier said than done when you're not getting any work at all. So for me to sit here and say I won't work for less than £1.30 a mile probably won't wash with a lot of people. But I'm lucky. I'm in a position where, because I've got regular work, I can probably say that. But if I had no other work, would I be saying that? Possibly not. I probably would have to bid cheaper than £1.30 a mile for a long wheelbase, because I need some work. But I certainly would never, ever go below £1.10 a mile for a job. Not for a job that's going out to somewhere. Again, if it's a backload, I probably would do £1 a mile. But I certainly wouldn't go below £1 a mile, backload or not. I'd sooner drive home empty. There's got to be a limit. And some of the jobs that are advertised as backloads on the Courier Exchange are a bit of a joke, really, because they're down as ASAP. Well, how is that a backload? But that's an argument for another time. So that's all I can say about bidding. There are people out there who are far better at it than I am, because I'm out of practice. But I gave you the figures that I was given for Lootings. I suppose people get more and people get less. But with a Luton van, you need more than I get per mile, because your running costs are a lot higher. But anybody who's got any tips or anything, please put it in the comments so that other people can read it. What do you do to make your day pay if you're only working on the Courier Exchange? I sincerely doubt that a lot of people can make it pay really well working on the Courier Exchange. Anyway, I will fill you in on how we do in the rest of the week in this video. Hello everyone, it is Tuesday. Tuesday the 10th of September, and it is 5 p.m. and I'm travelling home. Yesterday, just to top off yesterday, I managed to pick up another job. So I made yesterday a cracker. I had that job with my customer, and on the way back up, I got a hazardous load from Droitwich, and it was going to Telford. Now, it was advertised at about 48 miles, but I wasn't far away from it on the M5 when I took the job. And I quoted it at my full hazardous load, plus a little bit extra. And when I got loaded and put it in the nav, it didn't take me on the motorway. It took me kind of back roads to Telford. I won't confess to know what the roads were, but it was 33 miles that way. So that was a bonus. But what that did was it gave me a lovely boost on the day. So yesterday was a good day. Count that as a win. And then I drove home, picked my mate up because he put his van in for a service, and then went home. Today, I've had a job from my customers, and it's one of the good paying jobs that we get, and it went up to Dundee. So I picked up from Lancashire and went to Dundee, and I got to Dundee about 12:30, 12:45. By the time I was unloaded, it was 1 o'clock. And all the way up, I put a journey on to see if I could pick something like a back load or anything. And all the way back, I've had a journey on. And I've got nothing. Nish, nada. Not a single sausage. It was really, really quiet on the feed today. The only glimmer of hope I had was that when I was going up there was a job advertised for a hazardous load going from Stirling to Warrington, which obviously I thought I'll have a bit of that. And I put a quote in at a reduced rate because to me that's a backload, thinking they're going to go for that. There's no way they can turn that down for ADR work. They're going to be snapping their fingers off any minute. The phone never rang, and then eventually the job just came up as cancelled. So it's one of them jobs that's out for quote, I think, and never actually was a job. And it was just out there probably to get a price. So that's a non-starter. So we're driving home now empty. Again, you know, feed's been on all the way back, but now I'm getting towards sort of like Morecambe area here. There's no work around this area anyway, but nothing. Now, fortunately, because the job's quite well paid, I can carry the dead miles on it. But we all would like a bit of icing on the cake, wouldn't we? A bit of a cherry on the top. A contribution towards the fuel just makes, you know, your profit margins that much better. But alas, not today. So yesterday, yes. Today, no. But I did do one good thing that came out of today. I was bursting for a wee on the way up. So I pulled into T-Bay Services. Those of you who know T-Bay Services know that the food there is to die for. And I went in for a wee and walked out without buying one of the world famous giant sausage rolls, which is a big accomplishment for old greedy guts me. We are trying to stick to our plan to slowly lose weight, and things like sausage rolls and things like that are reserved for treats, not for day-to-day working days. So today we have had soup. Had some fruit this morning, sun soup, which I had about 11:15, and I was starving about an hour ago. Absolutely famished. But in the end I settled when I filled up. I bought a sandwich, an egg sandwich with granary bread. And it's took the edge off the appetite. It's made me not feel hungry. And that will do me. That will be fine. But it's hard work because for someone like me who's used to stuffing so much food down the throat, cutting down on food is difficult. I know it will get easier and I'll get used to it. But, I could smell those sausage rolls before. And I do love those T-Bay sausage rolls. So, the willpower stayed put and I managed to walk past. Anyway, we're going home empty. Don't know what's on for tomorrow. I'll find out and I'll let you know later in the week. I hope everyone else is doing all right. It's quite sunny out at the moment, and I'm sure it'll be raining in a minute because I've been through all 4 seasons on this journey. Well, it is Thursday today. It's the 12th of September, I think. That's something a bit different. An outside broadcast. Yesterday, had a good day yesterday. Did a job for my customers and went to Edinburgh. Again, one of the well-paid jobs, and didn't manage to get a backlog. But what I did do when I got to Edinburgh, I did a job Edinburgh to Edinburgh, which was advertised. I thought, well, if I can get a local job, that'll go a long way to going towards the fuel. And it was a decent job. It was a bit different than what I normally do. But basically, I collected from an office in the centre of Edinburgh. It was on the 3rd floor as well. And I moved some display material and some charity gifts that were going to go for a do at another hotel just outside the centre, real posh one, for the Prince's Trust. So it was a bit of handballing involved, but everyone in the office pitched in. We loaded the van. It was right in the centre. I had to park on the other side of tram tracks in the only loading bay I could find. And then went to this really posh hotel and unloaded it. So I got a minimum charge for it plus an extra fee for the handballing. The whole thing took an hour and a half. But, you know, for what I got for the time and distance and fuel use, it wasn't bad. And that contributed towards the journey home. Got myself home, and today my customers asked me if I could do a document run, which I've done them before. You probably see if you've seen the videos. And I said, yes, I'll do it because, you know, I don't mind taking my turn. Not a popular job because you pick up from Southport, but you can't collect till 2 o'clock. It's currently 1 o'clock. So I got a job this morning on the CX that took me this way. So I've got here an hour early. The money I've got from that job will pay for all the fuel anyway. And I thought, well, I'll go for a walk. And here I am in Southport. I'll give you a quick spin round so you can see everything. It's a funny place, Southport, because the sea rarely comes in. So I'm kind of on the mud flats, if you like, mainly covered in grass. I don't know if you can see there. And I don't know if you can see behind me. Well, that's the sea back there. And I don't think it comes in much further than this. You see a lot of tractors on this bit, cockle picking and things like that. But I wanted to get some exercise, and I thought a walk here is a bit more pleasant than walking along the street. And every day I'm trying to get a little bit of moderate exercise in. So this serves its purpose, and it's a lot more pleasant to look at. So I'm going to walk back in a bit. I'm about half an hour away from the van. And then make my way over, get there before 2, and probably leave there about 1:15. And down to Hayes. I won't be looking for a backload. That's why I got a job this morning, just to secure the cost of all the fuels. But I didn't pick that up till 11 o'clock. So I've had a nice rest. Because, again, I'm just trying to make sure I get rest between work and things like that. We're still sticking to the eating plan. I don't suppose I'll see results for a while yet. But I'm starting to feel a little bit better about myself. And slowly catch your monkey, so they say. So I'll update the week tomorrow and let you know how the week went. And that's me signing off for today from partly sunny Southport. Morning, Friday, last day of the week. It is just before 9 a.m. and it is bloody cold today, even though the sun is out. This morning, when I left the house, it was 3 degrees. I'm taking a hazardous load this morning from Manchester Airport up to where I am now. It's in North Yorkshire, and it is really remote. I'm about 2 miles away from me drop-off point, but I can't deliver till after 9. So I thought I'd just pull over here and finish off the week. There's Betty Blue we've had a good week this week. We're over target, and I don't feel as though I've worked too hard. I had a late night last night, and I elected to do the early morning today simply to get my week finished, because apart from maybe looking for a cheeky little backload home, I'm going to finish the week off now. So that'll be it. So on target, decent week. Van goes in for a service again on Tuesday. But you do the miles, you've got to keep her serviced. But to earn the money, you've got to do the miles. So that's the way it goes, I'm afraid. And I'd rather keep her serviced ahead of schedule and keep everything tip-top than risk. So as I said before, prevention better than cure. So she's having her normal service, just a minor service, and she's having the brake fluid change, because apparently when you get to this mileage, they recommend that you change the brake fluid. But it's a lovely place round here. You can stay here all day. I might even go for a bit of a walk once I've done the delivery. Look at the views back there, gorgeous. So I hope you've all had a good week. Once again, thank you for watching the channel. Again, if you get any ideas what you want me to mention in the videos, I will do. Some people have asked some things and I hope that I put them in. Any comments you've got, put them in the comments box. Any suggestions you've got, put them in the comments box. And I'm keeping up with my sensible eating, and hopefully over the course of the next 12 months or so, you might not see as much of me on the screen. I'll try my best anyway. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you in the next vid.